Hello, and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, where we are untethered yet again from any semblance of being tethered or untethered. We are beyond untethered.
No, we are actually tethered to Saturday mornings.
So far.
So far. We are considering actually untethering ourselves. However, you won't notice the difference. We will.
Yes. This is true. Anyways,
yes.
I'm not Brad.
And I'm not Josh.
Yeah, and together,
we
don't fight crime.
Well, occasionally, I mean.
Well, it depends on the game. In some VR games, we might fight crime.
That's true.
In some VR games, we might commit crime. Like, Skyrim keeps wanting me to commit crimes.
Skyrim won't let the moon go away and the sun come out so I can see where I'm going. But yeah, it's nice to know that it's inspiring you to commit crimes. At least we know that when RJ's game comes out, there'll be more skull stabbing involved.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. But no, like, I tend to be one of the boring. I want to play the paladin type or the hero type. I don't want to do the thieves guild stuff or the assassins guild stuff or whatever in an RPG, and Skyrim, to kind of get the biggest and best experience out of it, you have to do at least a few of those quests. So
I know.
Like just the other day, I killed Miss Hannigan in Skyrim. Well, she wasn't called Miss Hannigan, obviously, but she was called Grelka the Kind. No, Grolod the Kind, or something like that. And she runs an orphanage in Riften, which is the seedy underbelly of Skyrim and the home of the Thieves Guild. And you had encountered a little kid who had run away from the orphanage and was trying to perform the magic ritual to summon the Dark Brotherhood, which is the Assassin's Guild, so that he could put a hit on the head of the orphanage, because she was a Miss Hannigan and abused them. And so you accept it, and you go there and go bonk, and she's dead. And the game makes it clear that she's supposed to be, yes, exactly as the kid described. And nobody in Riften is going to oust her or whatever because, she's just set in her ways. We just have to wait for her to peacefully pass, or, So.
You gotta get out of Skyrim occasionally.
But because of the nature of the quest, it doesn't count as a crime.
Of course.
No consequences to it.
The ends justify the means. It's a interesting set of ethos they put in there.
Yes. So as I keep pointing out to my wife, Skyrim is not a game for kids.
Very few games really are for kids when you actually look at them. I mean,
true, but so this one is, so content matter wise, it's really not a game for kids. It kind of skirts the PG-13, I guess, line, but it's really not for kids because it deals with a lot of really dark subject matter.
Gotcha. So I guess you don't think Walking Dead is appropriate for the kids either, the Saints and Sinners?
Not really, no.
Nah. Well, these kids, they're going to have to just live with Ben and,
Yep. So, anyways, I also checked out Virtual Market 6 last night briefly because it opened. We'll talk about that more in the news section, but that's another little bit of a highlight from my week is checking that out. So
You like the Vcats, I know. You always go.
They're interesting to check out because they do a good job on the world, and it's interesting to walk around and just see everything. And they've usually got some fun experiences to set up and whatnot. And,
Right.
So yeah. But also, I had my birthday this week, so.
Once again, congratulations and happy birthday.
Yeah. I am 1 year less tethered from my birth.
Well, yeah, I think that umbilical cord was cut a while ago. If it's still stretching, it's quite a impediment for you, I would imagine.
But no, and in Forever Bowl, one thing that I haven't been liking too much is they introduced a pro mode, which sounds good. You can only use the non-gimmicky balls and whatnot, but they also turned off the physics update that they applied in July or in June or whatever to the throwing physics. So it's back to the original throwing physics, which a lot of people hated.
Right. That was what almost got it thrown off the site. I mean, that was what was getting it the 1-star reviews.
I know. But after some practice with it, I finally figured out maybe at least a little bit with at least one ball, at least one time, how to do a decent job at it, and I got a 222 score.
Oh, congratulations.
Turns out that I have to lob the ball like a quarter of the way down the lane.
It turns out...
Which is completely realistic.
Oh, but didn't I point that out when we were playing Forever Bowl that day, that the lobbing the ball seemed to be a part of the game? You were never placing the ball on the lane.
Yeah. It doesn't penalize you for lobbing the ball. It's not necessary. And it allows for things that you can't do in real life, like bypassing a lot of the oil because of that. And,
right.
But in the pro mode, they were trying to make it more realistic, and the reason that they turned off the more advanced throw physics for the pro mode is because it has a glitch where if you're coming at like an extreme angle, so say I've got the bowling ball and I pick it up and I go like that, it'll travel to about here and then go straight down the lane. It doesn't continue on the trajectory that I'm actually throwing it out.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
There's a bug there that they are trying to fix. And that's a bug that could be used to exploit, and if you find the right ball in the right place just in at the right angle, it'll give you strike after strike after strike after strike after strike just by going yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So if you're playing it and you like cheating to win, it's got an exploitable bug to let you do that.
Right.
But still, to turn off the only part of the game, which was what made people go back to purchasing the game before you fixed the bug.
In all the other modes, the new version is still there. It's just in the pro mode that it's turned off.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
But still, yeah, it's like that's one decision that they've made that I kind of disagree with. But on the other hand, one that I like is they asked the content creators who were interested and who play the game to submit a poster to be displayed in the game, advertising them. So I will have a poster in the game now advertising Silverfire 32. So,
congratulations. Who's that?
What?
Who's that?
That's me, obviously.
Oh. Okay, I know you're Silverfire. I just didn't realize how many of you there were because you have several different.
Well,
Should have done
That's
that.
my Oculus and my Twitch. So
Okay.
yeah, and my Facebook gaming, which is in the description of all these videos, which obviously Brad never looked at,
Not
is
often, no.
Silverfire VR Gaming. That's a little bit longer.
Yes, it is. It is. I know everything should be like tightened up, but it's not.
Yeah.
Except for what they're going to do with the new Google system. I don't know if you read. It comes in only because I was reading in Reddit today that they're going to interfere with the messaging system that somehow or other is going to improve the performance, but you might not get any of your OPT messaging or your doctors or your banking report.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with their messaging system, but it's something funky right now.
I'm not sure how that pertains to VR, but that is weird.
Well, only in the sense that it's untethered from VR.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, speaking of being untethered, you can now play Van VR Adventure untethered on the Oculus Quest 2. And
Especially if you're here. If you're at
yeah,
my house, you can play it.
yeah,
I have it.
yes. It released this week, and it seems to be doing good. It looks to be a pretty good port of the original game, which was a good game. Not quite as charming as Moth, but still a very solid platformer and fun.
Right. I mean, like I said, when we had talked, I had played Lucky's Tale at that time, and this looks similar but more advanced than Lucky's Tale.
Yeah.
Like Lucky's Tale meets
Tale,
like Lucky's Tale meets Warhammer, sort of better. So yeah, it looked like a definite go for. I'm still holding off on the Disc Ninja. That one, I'm still iffy.
I haven't gotten that one yet either. I might not. I don't know. All depends. But if you want to check out Van VR Adventure, it's in the store now. I played it on the PC VR version through Viveport, and it's a good game. So, we also had Player 22 Rezzle come out. Or no, so Player 22 by Rezzle that came out this week, which is another fitness and reaction time trainer. Not really a fitness game like Beat Saber or Pistol Whip or whatever, but it's a trainer game like crap, I'm blanking on the name now. The other one that I spoke about before,
not Supernatural.
That I did get in, and I tried, where it asks you what your fitness or your action time goals are, what sports you're going to be playing, and then it tries to tailor the exercises to train the skills needed in those sports. The one I tried, I have not tried Player 22, but the other one is like it'll have things moving around, and then only at the last second can you tell if it's supposed to be right hand or left hand, or if it's supposed to be block or dodge, or so it has more reaction time to training.
Well, it seemed to have a lot of various exercises because it also had lights that were lighting up that I guess you had to hit in a certain order or pattern, and
So yeah, it says various things of that nature. Yeah.
Right. So if you really want to become better at what you're playing, why don't you just play what it is you're playing as opposed to practice?
That's one thing, but even professionals use other things than just playing what they are playing. So
that's true. But I don't know that this would be it yet. I mean, I understand the concept, and it looks like it could be decent, but it also seems a little high priced for what it is at this point. Maybe it'll grow, maybe it won't, maybe it'll add game-specific titles. To me, it just seems...
React Performance Trainer is one that I tried, yes.
Yeah.
So it's on a similar vein to this.
Right, which is fine, I
Yeah.
guess, you know. But I
Yeah.
mean, you want a reaction performance trainer, go do Thrill of the Fight for an hour.
Well, they all work. Throw of the fight is uh, it's different. Um, the idea behind this, and I know you do understand the idea behind this, but just putting it a different way is, yes, you can improve at bowling by just going out and bowl, but you improve more if you go out to a bowling alley and you do what's called shadow bowling, which is get rid of all the pins. There are no pins at the end of the night. And you are practicing just hitting the arrows
Right.
where and when and how you want to hit them. That way you are not distracted by the need to try to knock down the pins. You are just set to focus on that one aspect. Well, throw of the fight, yeah, you can improve reaction time and whatnot, but you are not focused on that. You are focused on winning the fight.
Right.
And
However,
there's
the
other ones
skills.
that are just specialized on the
No, no, I
training
got
of
it.
the reaction time part. You are focused on that. This is like the shadow bowling versus the regular bowling.
No,
You
no,
know, so
I understand.
yeah.
It's just that to me, something like that could be included in every sports game that's out there. You know,
I
something
mean,
that has.
I mean, you're not wrong. A sports game could include a mode like this in the game or something, but there's also nothing wrong with having a standalone title that is not just for VR games, because this is not just for VR games. This is for real sports and stuff as well. You know, and yes, real players do exercises like this in reality as well. You know, so you know,
No, no, I
um,
understand. I'm just saying my swing in tennis is a lot different in on the tennis court than it is in VR. So
I'm sorry.
it's okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you know, it's like my bowling. When we were bowling in Forever Bowl the other day, in order to get the ball to be able to be able to get a hook on the ball, I had to spin
By
that
the
thing.
other day, he means like a month ago.
Oh, you know, my sense of time is a little different than most other people's. But yeah, I'm untethered from time as well.
I know.
That's the problem. There you go. But yeah,
Yesterday, you were older than you are now.
I didn't tell you I was Merlin, did I? You figured it out for yourself. So there you go. Extra points for you.
But no, but yeah, and that is a good point as well. Is that right now, as good as VR is not necessarily a direct one-to-one translation of the motions and the hand positions and whatnot. In some games, it comes close. It depends on how good the developers do um, at replicating reality. But because that's hard, that's why a lot of developers choose to say, forget reality. We're just making our own sort of racket or whatever sort of thing, and you
Right.
use that.
Right. Well, right.
It doesn't match
Exactly.
anything in reality.
Exactly. And that's until I actually play it, I can't say anything about Player 22, but I can say that the entire concept, once again, to take it outside of VR and improving your skills in anything other than within VR, I don't know. I really don't. I would have to see, you know, what that does. And
Well, that would be determined by a study done or something, or by listening to anecdotal evidence and not just dismissing it because it's anecdotal. Because that's one thing I always hate is some people go, "Oh, that's just anecdotal." That doesn't mean it's not true.
anecdotal does not mean not true. It just means that
I
if you're
know.
going to use,
I know you know what it means. I'm just saying a lot of people dismiss things. Oh, that's just anecdotal. Who cares about that? That has no relevance. That no, I'm not accepting that as any sort of proof that this might work. Well, um, okay, it's still evidence that it might work, because unless you have any reason to suspect that the other person's lying about it, you know, it's still
I understand, except
it's just not evidence that went through a rigorous scientific process. That's all.
I was going to say, is this going to be where we're going to die on the hill between anecdotal and empiricism, and which one we're going to actually accept? Good.
No, I'm just saying, that's unless there is a study done with the player 22 and its effectiveness, you'll just have to rely on anecdotal evidence, but depends on the person, depends on their exact situation, and if you think other factors applied that influence it more than this, or but still, I think it's got potential, like they all do, but at the same time, brain trainers are really popular, and there's been a lack of hard evidence that brain trainers really generalize into the overall brain, and not just those specialized, you get better at those mini games.
Oh, you mean that game that they keep advertising when they clean my phone, and it wants me to keep buying the game that 9 out of 10 doctors say will make sure that my memory improves 1,000,000,000% in 3 minutes by putting 5 letters together out of this circle and making it into a word. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously some benefit to doing things like that, because anything that you do to keep your brain active keeps your brain active, which helps it improve and get better. But there's no, as far as I know, hard evidence that a brain training game generalizes to beyond just those tasks in the game. Right. Which is the whole purpose of a brain training game, is to have it generalize into everything you are doing.
Well, I mean, I would not want to get into this very long conversation.
Right. Yeah, right.
Exactly, but I was reading about something that they're doing with the neurotransmitters in mice, and studying the effect on the brain. And then when they decapitated the mice to see the actual physical effect on the brain, and I'm thinking, now there's an interesting experiment that Elon Musk would definitely want. So let's cut off his head and see exactly how that brain changed by using this.
Yeah, no. So anyways, moving on, because otherwise we're both beating dead horses here. We have a new favorite game of one of the original 3 members of the podcast, Michael, Golf 5 E-Cub.
No, it's not necessarily his favorite game.
No, I said new favorite. One of his new favorite games.
Okay. Along with every game released since the Go. So, it's fine. It's good to appreciate.
All his favorite games, except for VR Kart.
No, there's one other one that he hates too.
I know, I forget what it was.
I know, but I know VR Kart, and I know he has no great love for Orbis anymore. But
yeah, well, I mean, Orbis was alright for its time, I guess, but it gets stale.
It was stale when we got it, so it got stale.
But no, Golf 5 E-Cub is, as the name states, I was going to say suggest, but it actually outright states it. It's a golf game.
Wow.
It's a golf club game, where you use golf clubs at a golf club to hit golf balls into golf ball holes.
Correct.
That's a lot of golf.
It is. No, my biggest problem is it looks okay. It really doesn't look like anything special at all. And if you're playing golf, you're really not playing it for the sport of getting this little ball in this hole. You know, I mean, you really want the landscape to be something you would like to be able to look at, and especially if you're playing with three other players as opposed to just standing
Right.
around, you
Right.
know.
Is the reason why is the traditional or a traditional way of getting business done. You hold business meetings at a golf course while you are playing golf, so it's a little bit of a rapport building thing built into it, a little friendly competition, obviously,
Right.
and it gives you lots of time to talk over all the business stuff because that's what it's about. It's about talking with the other people you are playing with, it's about that socializing, and yeah, about looking at the environment as well.
Exactly. So but I mean, we don't have to do business while we're playing. It's fine.
I know,
But
I know. I'm just saying.
no, I understand. We're bringing a little too much real world into this conversation. Remember, we're untethered, Josh. Untethered, not solely tethered, you know. But yeah, no, it's just to me, I would have to say, as against Pro Putt as I was, which I ended up buying once again because of Mikey. Um, the new extended Pro Putt really looks to have a nice course coming along, like really
Right,
nice. And this
right.
one doesn't. So I'm thinking, I'll wait. You know, I
Right.
have enough miniature golf on. If I want to hit a ball into a little hole, I got a few places I can walk around in VR right now. So
Yeah. And honestly, I've always preferred mini golf to full golf courses. I have tried golf games on the PC and consoles before, and for me, they're boring. But a mini golf game is not, because that's inherently interesting to look at. It takes a lot less time.
uh, right, and you don't have the
And
golf
it
cart that you live.
involves thinking strategically or outside of the box, to try to get around or through the obstacles. Because there's always more than one path. Well, almost always. You can either try to shoot the ball through that little hole at the base of the windmill with windmill blades coming around, or you can try to chip it over it, you know,
Or
or
around,
right, right, right,
however you're going to do it. Right, there's a few ways to
right.
attack this thing. Understood. But, you know, and golf is fine too. I'm just trying to imagine how you get from the green, you know, to getting there, taking your shot, the other guy's taking their shot. Now, what are you in a golf cart? You're going to start looking for your balls? Is this part of the game?
Oh, I believe it teleports you to your ball.
I was going to say, right, so now it's going to be teleportation. So the game will be shorter. Don't worry about it. It's
Yeah,
going to be a
true.
shorter
Yes,
game.
yes, I know.
Um, and I'm just, you know, right now at this point, and the other thing is the other golf games don't really use the motion of actually using the golf club that you're talking about. You're watching the meter that swings,
Right,
it, you know.
right.
So yeah, there's
But
no.
but in VR it would be, unless they do it horribly wrong.
Oh yeah, if they do it with a meter in VR, man, it's right there with VR cart, you know. And, but
Yeah.
I don't.
So, anyways, we also had not really a new release, but an update. Pit Whip, Smoke and Thunder came out. It's a new story mode one involving a female gunslinger who is up against the evil Dynamo Corporation and traveling on an old town road.
It's a free DLC. Pistol Whip's a good game. Hey. But you got two
You
of
didn't
those
even
things.
catch my reference, did you?
Which?
I said she's traveling along an old town road.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I
Gonna
didn't catch.
ride my horse down the old town road.
No, I got it. I got it. It's early, Josh. It's early. Remember, we're still functioning on Canadian mountain morning time.
That doesn't even make any sense. Anyways, I played a little bit of it, and it's fun. It has you dual wielding the entire time. So you got two revolvers, and then in the next stage of it, you have two basically extremely short shotguns, each with two shells each. But they basically blow the people up when they hit them. So
that's good.
the things that normally take the 4 hits with the regular shells only take 2 or only take 1, or and they have exploding barrels you can hit as well that blow the people up.
Well, that was the only thing missing from the original game, was
Yeah.
the exploding barrels. That's.
But I have not gotten past that second stage yet on normal. Granted, I only started playing it yesterday and only for a little bit, but it's harder than it seemed because you've got to. In one part of it, you've got a bad guy running at you, and you've got another bad guy going across at high speed on a horse. And if you wait to try to pistol whip the guy in front of you, you'll get hit by the bullet from the guy on the horse. So it's almost better to go, and shoot him and the guy on the horse at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring. That seems to be a pretty easy solution. You're gonna miss that whip.
But it gets a little chaotic on that one. You got to be looking all over the place, and the people moving around and then just coming towards you, or just standing still at the norm. They're moving across, or they're, So,
I know. It's kind of crazy stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah, but it's fun, and as always, it's a workout. So, moving on to upcoming titles, it was mostly blank, but I put one in there that was something I ran across just this morning. I don't have a date for it, so who knows when, but Simple Planes VR.
Yeah, what is...
Okay, so this is kind of a port of a game called Simple Planes, where you can use various materials to make a plane. And evidently there's like 500,000 user-generated planes uploaded in the community database. And Simple Planes VR does not let you make the planes, it just lets you fly the planes. So you can download any of those 500,000 airplanes and fly them. So,
okay.
If you're into flight sim games, this might be a good one. I have no clue what the graphics look like on it. I have no clue of any about anything like that, but it might be a cool game if you're into a flight sim game, because you can fly in airplanes that are made from, I don't know, wood and plastic and plants and paper. I don't know. I don't know what all the materials are, but it supposedly lets you make unique airplanes and whatnot. So,
okay, that was word salad. I still have no idea what will happen when I open the game, but
you will be presented with the option of downloading an airplane to fly.
500,000.
Yes.
Airplanes. Which that shouldn't take.
If you fly one airplane a day, that'll take you a lot of years.
Well, certainly almost as long as looking through the amount of crap on Netflix. Not quite as long, but almost as long. Now we had Prime, and
Yeah. So, all right, moving on to news, because we're about halfway through our show, and this is a good time to move to news. That was the smoothest segue ever, wasn't it? We have Virtual Market 6 in VR chat. Yeah, I told you I'd talk about it more in the news section. So now let's talk. No. This is Vcat6, and they are doing things a little bit differently this time than they have in the past. It's still like 6, 7, 8 different worlds, all with different themes that you go through, and they've got different big corporate exhibits. They've got smaller individual exhibits where you can try things on, buy things, etc., and fun little activities and event trigger things and whatnot. But at least a few of the worlds are going to have a story in them, and they'll have a good ending and a bad ending, depending on the path that you take and the decisions that you make. So, a little bit of a role-playing element to at least a few of the worlds, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And they are also unveiling the Vcat Mall, which will be a year-round, open all year round mall in VR chat. They are having, for the first week of the market, the mall there. Then in the second week, they are rotating the shops that are in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the virtual market, it's going down, but then later on this year, it's coming back up in its permanent state.
Oh, not Vcat6?
No, the mall will be coming up in its permanent state.
Gotcha.
And they'll still be doing virtual markets as far as I know as well. So,
okay.
But virtual market and the virtual market mall just reminded me when I was in there last night streaming on twitch.tv/silverfire32.
Smooth, really smooth.
Reminded me of, and I don't want to get into it again, but it reminded me of the discussion that was going around a little while ago about advertising in VR. Virtual market has ads. They're giant billboard ads like they do in Tokyo and whatnot. So posters, and if you think about it, all of the corporate booths in there, those are ads.
No kidding.
I mean, Decamove is going to be there.
Right, but that's what
Decamove's there, Disney's there, HP's there.
Right, but you didn't buy a Disney product that took you there. That's what I'm saying. It's you're going there on your own free will. They can sell you what they want to. This is what you're doing.
But still, that's just highlighting my point of, if they are done right, ads are not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, if all this were come here and look at our ads, no one would want to go. But they make it fun,
Well, right, like shopping used to be, when a mall used to have entertainment as well as items to buy.
Right, and ads.
And ads. Continuously as you walk through the mall, because what they're advertising to people who are shopping.
Yes.
Okay. This makes a lot. And usually what they're not selling. Anyway.
But yeah, my point is to just that, hey, these are ads. They're not in your face, blocking your view until you watch for 30 seconds or whatever, which is what everyone's afraid of.
Listen, I remember when everybody was afraid of pay-per-view TV, and the entire idea of paid television was the most insane idea that anybody could ever come up with. And now, how many hundreds of dollars do I spend a month to watch how many different channels of crap? So
I don't know. That's between you and your bank.
Yeah, it's too much. But yeah, I've been cutting back on that one. But seriously, I mean, the whole idea of pay TV was a joke, and now the idea of free TV is a joke. So
I know. I mean, I remember when I was like, well, I want to watch UFC, but I don't want to do pay-per-view, so I'll just wait till it comes out on VHS and rent it from Blockbuster. to talk about the Wayback Machine.
I was going to say, yeah, okay, Peabody, but yeah, I know the entire thing is, and it's funny because all of these free streaming services are no longer free. Everything that used to be on Prime for free, you have to pay for this season. It's like, wait a second, you know. Anyway, the whole thing is sort of getting crazy. It really is.
Yeah. And the other thing about Virtual Market 6 that I was going to say is the team behind it reached out and had an open offer to content creators and streamers to get a tour of Virtual Market 6 from them and get a tour of the mall from them. So I'm Monday and Friday of next week, I'm going to try to be doing that on a live stream on my Twitch.tv. No, on there.
Okay, should be cool.
So, yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Boz is convinced that 10 million users is coming sooner than expected.
I agree.
Lending even more credence to the people looking at the numbers of the recall stuff and extrapolating how many people might actually have a Quest. So that makes it sound like that estimate is a fairly reasonable estimate. Maybe a little bit under what the actual is. So.
Especially now that they're doing the official minimal 128 gig model of the Quest
Right.
2, and which was mandatory pretty much to stay viable for a few more months.
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing. And for the price, nobody's going to beat that at this point. That's for sure.
Right.
So.
And this enables people using the next exploit to not have to pay too much. Facebook users, not Oculus users, so Facebook users, some at least, have been buying a Quest in order to unlock their banned accounts. It's not banned for actual malicious purposes, obviously, or reasons that you were a bad actor, but the accidental ban that you can never get fixed because you're always just going around in circles with them. Well, evidently, and I guess it doesn't always work, but it has a chance of working. If you buy a Quest, activate it, and then immediately call the Oculus support number, because Oculus has a support number to call, whereas the Facebook does not, they can unlock your Facebook account so you can use your new Quest.
Sort of like the old, I think I'll undie in this game of Demio and then come back in fresh as a daisy.
Yeah.
And that's not a bug, I know.
So that's an interesting workaround. It's kind of silly that the necessary workaround at all, but
it means you need to spend $300 for Facebook to talk to you, is what it means.
Yeah.
Exactly what it means. You want to talk to us, it's going to cost you $300. Otherwise, take a hike.
So, anyways, in other news, version 31 is coming out to a lot of people. I got it finally, and Oculus announced multiplayer updates, the pass-through API, and a whole bunch of other things along with it. I have found that version 31 is making virtual desktop work stable again. I'm no longer doing the jumping around on the.
Oh, okay. So that's good.
Bandwidth ready. That is staying at a solid 866.
That's great.
So, which is much better. But we tried the multiplayer aspect with with Demio, but I'm not sure because it was the next day that they had the announcement that it was out. So it might have been that it wasn't officially out then. Who knows? But regardless, it didn't really work. We were in a party. We could not jump into the game together. So
right. So it was not working exactly. So, and that's the problem.
So maybe it just wasn't fully activated, as I mentioned. I don't know.
I don't know either. And maybe, the thing is, the way they roll out these versions, it's not that if you get version 31, you have every element of version 31 activated. Right. Sometimes they'll roll out different, and you might have a version 31 that has a couple of things turned on, and mine might have a couple of things that are turned on that yours doesn't, which makes it even crazier because now you have a community going, "What? This works for me." And everybody's trying to figure out. And the problem is basically, well, Facebook is saying, up yours, man. We just haven't gotten around to this yet. So,
well, that's not necessarily what they are saying, but they do have a slow staggered rollout. Yes, and I kind of wish that they would roll things out faster and in a more everybody across the board, but
the speed thing isn't the thing that I'm really that worried about. The thing that I'm worried about is they don't release it across the board. So you have, I understand they're using us as beta testers. I got it, obviously. But still, at some point, let everybody fail or win. It's like all ships rise at some point. Otherwise, you just have frustrated people saying, it says version 31, there's no update available, but I can't do this.
Right. So. Yeah. And it's, I mean, I understand the reasons for a staggered rollout, and I understand the reasons for it and everybody all at once thing as well. They both got the pros, they both got the cons. Back when I was learning IT stuff for my A+ certification, that was one thing that was discussed briefly. Was obviously A+ has nothing to do with this, but if you want to go on to like a network plus, how do you implement an upgrade in an office? Do you upgrade everybody all at once, or do you upgrade a few people at a time, just making sure everything runs smoothly, no bugs, and then expand it? They both got their pros and cons.
Exactly. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I agree.
Yeah. So anyways, pass-through API is here for the devs. Consumer version is not here yet. And there's been a game release for it already on AppLab. Cactus Cowboy, a wave shooter. Every time I think of Cactus Cowboy, I think Rhinestone Cowboy song.
Oh, I think of that horrible game with the cactuses on the bridge rolling towards you. I think it was a Go game, if I remember correctly. You were trying to cross a bridge and the cactus were coming on the bridge. You had to avoid them, and at some point you... Listen, this could have been a fever dream.
I don't know.
I might have had a really good dream one night and developed a game I didn't even know about, so I'll have to go back and look.
You never know. But I didn't play all the Gold games, all the Gear VR games. There were way too many for me to play all of them.
Poor Siba. He keeps saying the price of all of the games on AppLab and shaking his head, freaking out. Like, why are these $5 games $30?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So, but anyways, and we have Legendary Keith in our MVR Discord that is playing around with the pass-through API as well. From what he has mentioned, you have to use an ADB command. I think pretty much each and every time, or either just until a reboot of the quest. I forget which, but you you have to use an ADB command to put your quest into experimental mode before you can, even as a developer, use the pass-through. Then, okay.
No.
So, well, for a developer, that's not a big deal because they've already got it hooked up with the cable, such as the computer, so just to get it on there.
Right.
So all they need to do is say, okay, I've got it installed now. ADB enable experimental mode. Enter.
Right.
So.
But
that means that anybody, or I would assume that means that anybody that wants to try the Cactus Cowboy pass-through mode game will have to enable experimental mode. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it means.
Wow. Nothing like introducing friction after friction to keep making this a more
game. To be fair, they made it clear that this was for developers only at this point, not for the consumers. If developers want to push a game out early before the consumers supported there, that's technically on the developer.
Josh, when I bought my Rift, it was technically for development. They had no problem selling it as a consumer item.
I know, but
so
you know what I mean, though. Like that would be their argument if you
I understand
that. Hey, we said this is for developers only. He pushed it out.
Hey, look, just because they want to sell a piece of beta equipment that we package perfectly.
Right. So, anyways, I'm looking forward to what pass-through API, AR in VR, whatever you want to call it, mode brings to us. Excuse me.
Well, that was wet.
Sorry for deafening you.
That's okay. What?
So, anyways, we also have Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge 2 coming this fall. So new adventures and new characters, and yep, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah. Right. And there's a new trailer about it. It looks pretty cool.
It should be.
Looks like you leave the planet a little bit, maybe, because it looks like some of it was on board a spaceship. So.
Well, it's interesting you should say that because I was just reading something about a new VR game coming out that was being worked on by Spielberg and Lucas and saying it's a combination of Indiana Jones and Star Wars.
Interesting.
That could be quite bizarre, man. I have no clue.
Use the Force, Indy. Use the Force.
Wait, am I Indy in this one, or can I kiss her, or is that your sister?
He's got a Force whip. He doesn't have a lightsaber. He's got a light whip.
Weesh. Ow, that was pretty ear-piercing. Yeah, but that sounded kind of, like, okay, that's interesting. That's different. Indiana Jones meets Star Wars. That's pretty cool.
Well, in a sense, some of the books and some of the games have had elements of that, where you're exploring ancient Sith temple ruins and whatnot.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, today I'm planning on watching What If, the Marvel channel. They said this first one's pay attention. There's a lot going on in the background, trying to introduce where they're taking this new alternative Marvel universe. Which, to be honest with you, this is the worst one I could think of them starting with.
Speaking of to pay attention to, because there's a lot going on in the background, that reminds me of what a coworker told me about watching the Ghost in the Shell way back when. It's like, make sure you pay attention not to the fight going on in the foreground, but the conversation in the background, because it's so weird that they did it that way, but that's where the story is moving. Is in the and I'm watching it, and I'm like, weird at all.
I know, I know, I know. Well, that's like a friend of mine the other day, and I'll make this really, he was describing his relationship and telling me how unique it was, and his description was an absolutely, totally non-unique relation. I mean, like, at the end, it was just like, and the uniquity is,
I don't know. But what will be unique and very difficult for a lot of people to play is a game that is coming soon. Space Pirate Arena.
Hey, no problem. I'm having a 5,000-foot stadium built behind my house so I can play. And
I mean, technically, I could have enough room in my backyard area, but technically my backyard is only like about this wide, and all the rest of it that would make up almost the required room is our neighbor's backyard. We don't have any fences, because out here they don't believe in fences. And there are other places I could go where I would have the space, but outside of my wife and my kid, I don't know anybody local that had the quest. So,
at some point, we're all going to have to travel and actually meet in some place. Maybe rent an ice skating arena or something. But
which is why I think that having this be a local only was
stupid.
A bad move on their part. It should be online, because you can, I would imagine, quite easily think, hey, play space of, hey, I've got a big enough play space here, you've got a big enough play space there. It works.
I guess they can't sync them up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
They need to talk to Traversal Robert.
Yes.
And figure out how to change their spatial coordination.
Yeah.
That could work, honestly.
So speaking of which, I'm looking forward to Impossible Robert's traversal update as well, which is another thing that you need a lot of room for.
I know, it's ridiculous.
I like it. I like T for God, but my VR space keeps contracting.
I know, they're major. It takes
it's not expanding, it's contracting.
I know.
Speaking of things contracting and expanding, the time before you can play Lone Echo 2 is expanding because it got delayed again until late this year.
Yeah, I have news for you. Survios has taken over, and it's going to be released right after Battle Wake comes out.
Oh, okay. So never, huh?
Well, I'm not saying never. I mean, Survios didn't actually say it's never happening. Did they admit it, or did they just sort of walk away with their head down, their tail between their legs, and just never mention it again?
Right.
I don't think we ever got them actually apologizing for selling this based on a total.
Yeah, I mean, I never got Battle Wake because I was waiting for it on the Quest. I could get it now, but I think it's kind of a dead game now, so
right.
Why get it?
Exactly. Yeah. Why did they kill this game so quick? I still don't understand.
But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Lone Echo 2, which is not a dead game, but I know some people are working that it might be a stillborn game. But it probably won't be. It just, they obviously ran into something last minute that they had to scramble to try to take care of, or and postpone the release date. That happens sometimes. They might have all of a sudden stumbled upon a game-breaking bug that would completely ruin the game and get them bad reviews all over the who knows.
Didn't stop Solaris. Sorry.
Well, maybe they don't want to repeat the mistake of Solaris.
Well, okay. So then they're educated. I applaud that decision. I'm just saying,
So, in other news, Scaniverse has been acquired by Niantic.
Me too. I'm sitting right here.
Scaniverse is one of those the 3D scanning and LiDAR scanning apps.
Correct.
So you can take 3D models and 3D scans of stuff. Acquired by Niantic, who is working on creating an AR library and AR resource library and all that. So
They've added
it makes sense.
They've added a lot of new LiDAR programs. I mean, just in this last week, I'm looking, it's like, oh my God. And yeah, for both the iPhone and for the iPad. So I'm really looking forward.
We're going to have to look into that. I haven't checked to see what new LiDAR things are.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of acquisitions, Force Field has been acquired by Vertigo Games. And for those who don't pay attention to the company names, Force Field is the company that brought us National Geographic Explore VR and the Anne Frank House, and just a couple other educational and very well made games. And they have been acquired by Vertigo Games, and they're working on an unnamed the VR title. So
I have mixed feelings about that because National Geographic was excellent and the idea behind it was great. And the fact that they have 2 places to visit since they released it over a year ago is stupid.
Well, and no doubt it takes a lot of work to make that a good experience. But yes, I know what you mean. One of the ways that I was justifying the price was, well, they're going to be adding more stuff to it, so like 2, 3, 4 experiences. All of a sudden now it's a 3, 4, 5 hour game. It makes it worth the price, and they only added one more thing. So.
Which was like an 18-minute experience, and the funny thing is,
it was a little bit longer than that, but yeah, I know.
And the other thing is, one of the things that you do, one of the beauties of the game is you're a photographer and take these pictures. Right. Well, I would think that would probably be a game that they could enhance the graphics, at least on that picture, that you take at that point, and give you something that's really nice, or reprint something. What they're giving you now is a bunch of dots. It looks like worse than anything ever looked on. It's not.
What device are you playing on?
No,
how many times have you dropped your Oculus Quest 2?
No. I'm saying to me, it's very disappointing they haven't updated their graphics.
I uploaded a picture that I took with the Quest 1 on Facebook, and in the right, with right, it's a picture on the right subject. It looks pretty photorealistic.
Really? I found the resolution to be kind of crappy, to be honest with you.
Well, it depends on your composition. Maybe you just suck at being a photographer. I don't know.
I only did it as a living for 35 years, so yeah, that might be it.
No. But no, I see what you mean, though. That they could add some post-processing to the flat images that you should take. Or one thing that would have been nice is more randomized stuff, so that you had a chance of actually getting a unique photo that other people didn't get.
Right, as opposed to stand here, it's a Kodak moment. I know, it was disappointing to me. I just thought that, once again, it's National Geographic. It's not Jutz and Futz. It's the same way as I expect quality from National Geographic. And
I thought it was quality. It just maybe wasn't as much quality as you were expecting, but all the balance between quality and getting it out the door.
Well,
and I think they struck a decent balance between that. Maybe not the perfect balance, but a decent balance. And speaking of balancing, and I have no clue how balancing ties in with this, but Wasteland creator Brian Fargo joins Third Verse.
It doesn't fit in.
Third Verse. Here's where it fits in. Force Field created successful titles and is now merged with another studio. Third Verse created an unsuccessful title called Frostpoint.
It was very unsuccessful.
But they also created Swords of Gargantua,
which is amazing.
Which kind of started out rocky, but was improving.
Right. And still is improving.
I mean,
and someday it might be a good game.
It's not was improving, but right.
So
I'm not quite sure. This is news that I pulled off of another site. I'm not quite sure what the significance is of him joining the advisory board, what he's going to bring to the table, but it shows that they are working on improving things, that they're working on possibly learning from the mistake. One of the biggest mistakes with Frostpoint was that it was PC only.
Right.
There was no Quest version of it at all. And not to get into the PCVR is dead argument, but Quest access is huge. If you have Quest access, and I know it's harder to pull off, it's a little harder to judge a program for, but if you don't have it in mind when you are making the game, you are cutting off like 75% of your potential market.
Right, and your meteoric rise to fame, so,
right.
And they're not kidding. We've seen members of our group who are now facing some extreme decisions in a very fast-moving career,
like RJ. And I'm not going to speculate, but I'm going to pretend to speculate. Shortly after he was posting his demo stuff with Assassin's Creed-like mechanics and a job listing for working on Assassin's Creed in VR, and all of a sudden now he has a life-changing decision that he has to make because a publisher contacted him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know. It's very difficult to put those together. I don't see how those dots connect at all, except right in the base of the skull, right here, with those two little, Yeah, I mean, come on.
That's my guess.
Yeah,
what's going on. I don't know. It could be another studio, but
sure.
It was likely prompted by that Assassin's Creed mechanics demo he's been doing.
That's great. RJ's done some really great stuff that, we've been enjoying in the group for a while and seeing what he's doing. So this is not surprising. It's just nice to see him actually getting the recognition and finding one of our own, so to speak, who's actually will be a quantitative factor.
And he actually faced a similar decision a while ago as well, where he was approached, and I thought he went with it, but on kind of a limited basis or whatever, where he was with them, but he still got to do his own stuff, and his own stuff would be his, and so.
Yeah, well, we'll see what's going to happen. I mean, it's an interesting story, but it's nice to see some success.
Yeah. So, anyways, speaking of stories and how all things must come to an end, our show has now come to an end.
Well, that was the best segue you've had all show, so I will let that one slide.
So, if you made it this far, thank you. We appreciate you. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and drag your friends over and make them ring the bell too, with the nose preferably, because that is just awkward.
And you can put the video on TikTok and maybe it'll go viral and you'll get next.
Yeah. Let's subscribe to a video channel with my nose.
That'll be right. That'll be the next contest. How many times can you? Oh man, that could be pretty ugly.
Have a great rest of your week. If you have any comments on anything that we said, make sure to drop them down below. We will read them and laugh. Have a great week. Have fun.
Have fun, everybody.